Hey there, Solo here, and today we have another episode of Last Week at Bungie, where we talk about some of the hot button topics and discussions within the Destiny community as we look to the future of the franchise. Now, last week we were given a lot of information in terms of the new season, the new upcoming expansion, and what we can expect from the franchise in the next couple of years. And while all that information is overwhelming and exciting, I won't go so much into my thoughts and opinions about the future expansions since we only have a very limited knowledge of what that will entail. But I will say I am very excited for what's to come. But from what we do know, last week kicked off the newest season of Destiny 2, where we are looking to prepare to be one with the darkness, allegedly. I know a lot of people have already begun to give their thoughts and impressions on the season so far, but I don't want to do that because, to be quite honest, if I did, it would not get a good score. And here's two reasons why. The first is the seasonal activity is yet again another public event. And if you've seen my videos before, you know how frustrated I was with the public event, being the... And if you see my videos previously, you know how frustrated I was that last season's seasonal event was a public event. It was in a public event space. And in terms of getting the final triumph for the seasonal seal, I was very frustrated because when you put it in a public event space, if not a lot of people are interacting with that event, that's something that you can't control. And really, I feel like we're going to experience something like that this season now. I feel like, while everyone is still, getting hyped, or, maybe they're still at pinnacle, honeymoon phase with the season, they're happy that this new season has begun, they're interacting with the public event. I've noticed for myself that there's been some times where I'm playing, and this usually happens like very early in the morning, and if I wanted to do the activity in the public event space, no one is there. My fear is that this is going to carry on to the end of the season, where there's probably going to be some triumph that you have to get for the seasonal seal, and it's going to involve that public space, and no one's going to be there. Quite honestly, I'm very disappointed that this seasonal activity is not match made, but what can you do? I understand now there's, teams. It really shows with Bungie's reveal when they revealed the expansions that's coming up in September and the expansions that are coming up into the years to come, that there's definitely teams working on certain things, so I understand. But again, I will keep drilling this message about consistency. Can we please be consistent about the type of activity? Not saying that it has to be, deposit into this. It doesn't have to continue to be throw the ball or, Gambit, another version of Gambit. It doesn't have to follow that. It could be a completely different experience, different mechanics, but please make it match made. So the fact that the activity is not match made is really hitting a sour note in my bones, if that's even a phrase. Second is that until we know what else is coming, the only thing this season has provided is the seasonal public event and a dungeon. Now, don't get me wrong, the dungeon is so good. Like, if you haven't had the chance to hop into there, I know that there's that, power grind that some people have to do before they hop into the dungeon. But if you haven't experienced it already, definitely go into there. It's nothing like we've ever experienced before, and you can see that they actually wanted to design an activity that isn't just made to, just start from here, finish here. Like, there's definitely spaces in that dungeon that take some time, explore. There's a couple of triumphs that you do have to interact with the dungeon in order to, get those triumphs done. So you can tell they put a little bit more thought, a little more effort and love into this dungeon. But quite honestly, that's it. We got a public event as a seasonal activity and a dungeon. And they seem to be going along with this. We're not going to tell you what else is coming. When it's here, we'll give it to you. Which, at this point, I believe the proof is in the pudding. they've held off for so long, and being that they did, what they did deliver to us is really good. So I feel like I can't give, oh, well, this is how I'm interacting with the season so far, and here's how I'm loving or hating it, because with the seasonal activity being match made in just the dungeon, my interaction with those aren't super like, I'm super excited, I want to see what's next, because quite honestly, that may be it. There may be nothing else next. So I don't want to give off any early impressions. I at least want to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks so that, if there are any additional secrets, I can get that in and then be able to say, okay, here's my initial thoughts. I do want to do a mid-season review and a final season, review at the end to say, okay, overall, here's how I love the season. But I just feel like putting out I really loved it after only a week is a little bit inauthentic, But moving on, I want to go into some of the topics that have really been dividing the Destiny community, starting with the first one, which is the reoccurrence of AFK farming. Now, I do believe that Bungie has fixed this already or implemented some sort of solution to stop this from happening. But what was happening before were people were just lowering their light levels and standing inside of the forges doing absolutely nothing, all while being able to obtain the seasonal currency and obtaining the umbral engrams, which, if you didn't know, or if you haven't gotten that far into the season, these umbral engrams are a really good way to raise up your power. Now, both sides, do have their pros and their cons. Both sides, one side has that, you're cheating, or they look at it as a cheating, or you're manipulating the system in order to increase your power level. Another side says, well, it doesn't matter. It's just to raise up my power level. At this point, I'm of the stance of it's there. And once again, I believe Bungie has put in a patch to fix that. So if you were able to take advantage of it, all right, do what you will with that. I think it's just more, this is a situation of how you feel personally about the game. I am always going to be for the working hard to, obtain your rewards. I feel like, at least for me, I don't want to, do any shortcuts when it comes to, obtaining my power, getting my power rank up as high as possible, because it takes out that feeling of I actually work for it, Yes, you can stand in a forge and get to that same light level as me, but at the end of the day, I'm going to feel better knowing that I went into several different activities. I did what I had to do to say that, yes, I work for my power level. It's kind of like if you went for a college degree. Yes, there's going to be some people where, they did 4+ years or however many years it takes, for you personally to get your college degree to get to that position that you want in life. Whereas there's some people who didn't even go to college and was able to get that same position. But at the end of the day, how someone else got to where they got to has nothing to do with me. So if people want to sit in the forges and farm, that's fine. But I know in a conversation, if I were to have with a fellow, Destiny community members, and I talk about, oh, I had to go through the dungeon and, I did this and that, and I was able to do all of these different things to finally achieve my power level. Meanwhile, someone else is standing next to me and they're like, well, I just sat in, the forges all day and I was able to achieve that. I look at them and say, well, good for you. How does it feel? I wouldn't care, because at the end of the day, I worked for mine. If you can say you work for yours, good on you. So that's how I feel about AFK farming. I wouldn't say that I don't really have a stance here or there, but it's not for me. And that's that. And last but definitely not least, the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is also seemingly dividing the Destiny community right down the middle, is the removal of skill-based matchmaking from non-competitive modes. So the skill-based matchmaking is going to still be inside of your elimination, your Trials of Osiris, the competitive and solo freelance competitive modes. but everywhere else, skill-based matchmaking is no more. And again, I definitely understand both sides of the coin, both sides of the facts of the matter, and quite honestly, again, I can only speak for myself, in which I think this is actually a good thing, especially with the way that I play Destiny PvP. I'm always playing PvP to get better. Yes, of course, there's still bounties that I would like to get done, but rarely will I ever step into PvP and say I am only playing PvP to get these bounties done and then I'm out. Whenever I step into a player versus player environment, I'm always trying to improve, trying to get better. And I feel like where skill-based matchmaking was in every mode, there's only going to be a certain point where I can get better until I can mysteriously get into that other bracket and either get stomped and, you know, try to improve, or get stomped so much that I just get kicked back to, you know, the rank that I was at before, or the skill level that Bungie deemed I was in, until I can somehow prove to the algorithm that, hey, put me into that other level, and yes, I will, you know, get stomped the crap out of, but I'm learning. Essentially, I'm just saying that, you know, with skill-based matchmaking, you're only going to hit a certain point to where you can't improve. Whereas now with skill-based matchmaking removed, now you have that chance of being able to improve, because maybe when you're getting matched against another team, you have that one really good player and you now have that opportunity to figure out how they play. Maybe it's a team of really good players, and seeing how they play and learning something new, I think it's really good. I think, you know, on my level, in my growth, I think that's really good, and I'm happy that I'm now going to be able to be exposed to that. And really, I know that there's this big fear for the other side where they're like, now I'm just going to get stomped in all my games. I don't think that that's going to happen a lot of the times, because unless I'm wrong and I don't know game development, which it's very well that I'm not a game developer, but I highly doubt the matchmaking system is just going to default to, let's put 6 really good players on one team, and then we're going to put 6 really bad players on the other team, and they're just going to get stomped. I don't think that's how the algorithm is set up. It's set up now, and how I understand it's set up now, to be, you know, basically more connection based. You're matching against people to have a really good game experience, not having to wait for, you know, long queue times because they're trying to match people up according to, you know, who's going to get stomped or not, or anything like that. So I do understand that that's that fear that, you know, someone's going to come in and they're just going to completely own in the Crucible. But I encourage you to really go into those matches and really think about how many times does that actually happen. If you can prove that, hey, I went into 10 matches, and every 10 match I was matched with people who couldn't get above 5 points. Meanwhile, there's someone on the other team with like 80 eliminations, and that happened for like 10 games in a row, then definitely reach out to Bungie. Definitely make some noise about that, because then that's a flaw in the system that, yes, really needs to look at. But I feel like, you know, until that happens, it's a fear. It's a very understandable fear that does disrupt your, you know, that side of the issue, you know, that does disrupt their experience, which is very valid. But until that happens, you know, just try it out. Just try it out and see what actually happens. But that's all I have for you today. Lots more coming up. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what I want to do with this season in terms of content. To be completely honest, I have been trying so hard to do like a Pit of Heresy solo flawless, and I just, for the life of me, can't get that. I will be trying solo flawless for the dungeon, because there's really nice emblems, really nice rewards for those who are able to accomplish that. So of course I want to try my hand at that. But then again, with everything coming up, there's still a couple accomplishments and triumphs and seals that apparently I will need to get, as in the future of Destiny, things are going to be deleted and put it into a Destiny content vault, or DCV or whatever the acronym is. So there's a lot that I have to get done with this season. So I'm thinking of how I am going to be able to bring that over to YouTube and bring that in front of you guys. But of course, this will always remain. I'm starting to really like these series because it helps me keep in tune with, you know, what's going on with the Destiny community and sharing what's going on. But let me know down in the comments below how you're feeling about the season. Do you like it so far? Do you not like it? What are your thoughts about it? As I always say, sharing is caring. And if you did like this video, please go ahead, give a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to receive content like this, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And that's all you had to do. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Solo says, so long.